Hey everyone, did you ever make a video and then decide not to publish it? Or perhaps you even uploaded it all the way into YouTube and then decided not to click that publish button. Perhaps you didn't even make the video in the first place because you were worried that you couldn't do a good enough job. I recently finished doing the edit for my first ever narrative style short film, and I have to be honest, I'm a little worried about publishing it. You might even be in the same situation yourself where you're kind of worried about releasing something to the public and worried what might come of it. For example, I'm a bit worried that people might not think that I'm a quote unquote real filmmaker. I'm a bit worried that people might think the idea or the concept for the film is a bit boring or perhaps cliche. I'm also a bit worried about people thinking that my acting is terrible, and to be honest, I'm not a trained actor, so that's probably a genuine concern. The actual film that I'm making, it just features me, there's no other actors in it. And I'm also a bit worried that people might think that the stylistic choices I've made in the film might be not quite right for the subject matter or the feeling that I'm going for. I think I'm quite confident in that part of it, and it's kind of come out as I wanted in terms of the kind of emotional feel of it. So even though I've got all of these fears and concerns, I've come up with a few reasons why you should still publish your first short film, or any video really, even if you're a bit worried about what other people might think. The first, and it sounds a bit silly to say it, is that if you don't publish your first film, you can never publish your second film, or your third, or your fourth. So you've always got to start somewhere. Every filmmaker, every director always had a first film at some point. Another good reason to actually hit that publish button is that you can get feedback, and sometimes this might be a bit hateful, especially in some of the YouTube comments, but this feedback can actually be useful to help you grow as a filmmaker and maybe even give you some ideas for future films. Even if you do end up getting bad or even hateful feedback, you can at least try and learn to start to deal with the criticisms. If you're going to release something for public consumption, then people have a right to have an opinion on that piece of work. You just have to get used to that and try and distance yourself from any kind of negative comments, and don't let it really kind of hurt who you are or what you want to do in the future. There's actually a couple of things that have really helped me and kind of made me decide to publish it anyway. The first was from this book. This is The War of Art. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in checking this book out. I just wanted to read you a short part of this book. This title of this section is called A Professional Acts in the Face of Fear. The amateur believes he must overcome his fear, then he can do his work. The professional knows that fear can never be overcome. He knows there is no such thing as a fearless warrior or dread-free artist. So basically I just take this to mean it's okay to be fearful of what other people might think, and the important thing is to still publish anyway. The second thing that's actually helped me is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Just gonna read it out to you here. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. Another way to put it is that you have a right to the work itself, but you don't have a right to the results of the work. And that might sound a bit weird, especially if you've worked really hard on creating your first short film. To say that you don't actually have a right to the outcome of that short film sounds a bit weird. But when you think about it, there's a whole host of factors that come into whether a film is successful or not, or what other people think, and basically the results of you making a film. For example, one of the big things is luck. The right person could see the film, the right person couldn't see the film. What if you publish at a certain time, and 5 minutes earlier, if you'd have published, someone important would have seen that film and might have got your filmmaking career started? There's an element of luck which is outside of your control and outside of your effort. Also, if you believe in it, there's destiny or karma, and that has an effect. What you might have done in previous lives, or some predefined destiny, that also will affect the outcome of your work. Also, other people's actions or efforts can affect the outcome of your efforts. For example, someone could choose to share your video with someone, and that someone could be someone down the line that could offer you more work or perhaps get your filmmaking career started. But that same person could also choose not to share that video in the first place. You don't have any control over that. If you're a person of faith, you might also believe in the will of God or the gods to affect the outcome of your efforts. Anyway, all of these things kind of help me to think about things in a bit of a different way and decide to publish anyway. I'm going to try the whole YouTube premiere thing, so I'll leave a link in the description below, and if you want to be one of the first people to see it, just go down and click on that link, and then you can wait for it to be published. If you're getting any value from this video so far, make sure you click the like button. I just wanted to leave you with a final quote, and this is kind of a bit of a cliche or overused quote at the minute. This is a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat.